Alright guys, welcome back to 1822 MC Adventures and More. This is my channel. My name is Pete, and this is part 2 of What's Cooking. What I'll be talking about is some of the things I use to heat my food up with and or cook with. Alright, and we'll start out with the most basic, a Canteen Cup Stove. Normally what you would do is you put a heat tab under here and use that, or if you have a fire, you got a good bed of coals, you can lump up a little bit of coal, set your cup on there, and if it starts dying down, just pick the cup up and move it to a new set of coals. If you're not sure how that works, it looks something like this. Alright, so you got your canteen cup on there. And so you would put your heat tab down there, and don't forget, if you're using a heat tab, put the wrapper of the heat tab underneath the heat tab so you don't start the forest on fire. And if you're using it in a campfire, like I said, you scoop up a little bed of coals and set it right on there, and then put a new bed of coals right next to it, and you just keep rotating until your food is done. Very basic, very, very basic, but a good piece of equipment. Right, next on the list is an Espot Stove. These were designed for the German army back in like oh gee, I forget, it was like 1934 or something like that, and Espot has not changed the design of this since they made it. Real simple. You can open it up all the way like that. Got your little heat tabs here. Now what I do is I've got a piece of heavy aluminum foil in there, not like Reynolds wrap type foil that you'd wrap your sandwich with, like a pie pan type of foil, and that way the heat tab juice doesn't spill out all over the place. Of course, there's a slot in there, but it's just a more responsible way to do this. Like I said, you would put your heat tab in there, depending on the size of your cup or pot. You can lock it in like that or like that, right? But what I like is I got this little piece of plaster lathe, and I burned the galvanizing off it. I like to put it on there, and then that way you can rest your cup on there or whatever you're cooking, and you can keep it wide open. Works out quite well. And something else that you can do with your Espot stove. Now, of course, some knuckleheads will use twigs, and it's a never-ending battle. I would never consider that unless I had no choice. This is a can stove or a penny stove. And what you do is you cut the bottoms off of a couple of beer cans or Pepsi cans, whatever, wrap some fiberglass insulation in there, push the top on, poke a bunch of holes in it, put a couple more holes in the center. Of course, this is the condensed version. Seal off the bottom so it doesn't suck air. Fill it up with alcohol, get it going. Once it's going good, you put your penny on there, and through the magic of science, it comes out and looks just like a burner on your stove. Nice blue flame, right? And the nice thing about that is it fits right into your Espot stove, right? And this funny looking thing here is a simmer ring, and it sort of works. So this basically cost me a penny to make. And that was the actual penny. You have to use a real penny, a copper penny from back in the day. And you got to make sure your penny is prior to 1980 to make sure that it's a real copper penny. Newer ones won't work. Okay. And for your alcohol, you know, you'll see it on YouTube. There's a bazillion videos on how to do this. Take a little bottle like this. This is a, one of them little hot shot bottles. Holds 2 ounces. It's just enough for a day hike. But you can use rubbing alcohol. The lightweight stuff or the high octane stuff, you can use gas line free stuff. I'm having a senior moment. The heat in the yellow bottle. Don't use the red bottle. Use the yellow bottle. And that, for your money, you get the best bang. I mean, you could go to like Lowe's and buy some denatured alcohol. It's expensive. You can go to any gas station and they'll sell you that stuff. Or you can go to Walmart, dollar store, whatever. Anyways, next one. A little backpack stove. Got it from where else? River Country Products, right? but it's your same basic little stove that you see on Fleabay and you see on Amazon and all that sort of stuff. It just folds out, screw it on your can. It's got the little spark igniter. These things work great. They're kind of like a blowtorch in my opinion. They're mostly good for boiling water. I have cooked on it, but there's better ways to do that. This is more designed for heating up water, for dehydrated meals and that sort of thing. You can get it low enough and use a windscreen and you can get some heat, but if you're using anything other than cast iron, you're probably going to be scorching your food. But for what it is, it's an awesome stove, and it's only like 10 bucks. Gives you any shit, throw it out and get another one for $10. And I prefer to use the little cans of isobutane. This is a 110 gram cartridge. I'm not particular to GSI. I buy whatever's on sale or a good price. So with that being said, this is my Glacier camp stove. This is more of a hiking stove. This is more of a camping stove. It doesn't fold down. But what it is, it's a GSI Glacier stove. I bought it because it's very similar to this old antique. It just actually has 11,000 BTUs output of heat, and when I use this, I prefer to use a bigger bottle. This is a Canisterno, but they come in all different brands. And I've even got one in the house, a Coleman one. It's a little bit taller. It's like twice the size of that. But I do like using this. It's not as efficient as this, but it is a good stove. If you and some friends are going camping and you're splitting up some of the gear, this might be worth having because you can do some actual cooking on this versus that. And of course I got my Dinosaur propane Coleman stove with the big gigantic green bottle. But these fit great in the saddlebag, and you cannot go wrong with Coleman, especially the older stuff, very reliable. It doesn't have an automatic sparker, so you gotta light it with a lighter or a match. But you got your nice control knob, it screws on there like that. It's very stable, 10,000 BTUs of propane gas. You cannot go wrong. And if you're camping in cold weather, leave these at home because they will fail at about 32 degrees. Or something like that. I forget the exact temperature, but when it gets down around freezing, these things will fail you. This is propane, it will never fail you. And I also use this sometimes. This is my grill. You set it up. You can put a pot on there, you can put a steak on there, a pork chop, whatever you want. It does work, but I do think there's better, more efficient ways of grilling, but this does have its place. Some of my utensils, I don't use this. I actually found this out in the Croatan, but my grandson uses it when we're over there in Studio B. This is Studio A. I got a nice little fireplace set up over there. We roast marshmallows and wieners over there and have all kinds of big fun. So he uses it, I don't. But I guess if you got room for it, it's good for something, but I don't take it in the woods with me. I found it. Little spatula. This was at the dollar store for like 99 cents. You can't go wrong with that. I don't try to use it in my cast iron because it scrapes them up, which brings me to my next utensils. These are like some 99-cent bamboo wooden utensils. I just simply cut the handle down. So I got a spatula and a flipper. Works really great for the cast iron. This is my dedicated cutting knife and meat knife. This is Charade Old Timer, and this thing is so old it's actually made in America. This I think I got at Sports Academy, I think, don't remember. Just your standard issue camp silverware. This Dinosaur here was like a promotional freebie back in probably the 50s, and it says North Central Airlines serving the nation's fishing capitals. And this thing is so old that on this side it says stainless steel, Japan. Now on the other side it says floating fish knife. So you know, with it being Japanese steel, This thing is like ninja sword, razor sharp, and it has the scaler on the back. Very nice knife for panfish and whatnot. So that's my most basic cooking stuff besides actually cooking on an open fire. And normally when I do that, I'm either going to use some rocks as a tripod or some big logs. Well, you know, ones about like that, you know, you balance them in there. You got your little thing in an A-frame or whatever, and you push your coals in there and put your pot on there. And it all works out good. So I hope I've inspired you and given you some ideas. You don't need the latest and greatest, most expensive stuff. Again, yard sale type of stuff. Actually, this stove here, this piece and that piece, not the gas bottle, of course, was in the pile of junk that was in my original shop when I cleaned it out. I saw that, of course, I had to set it aside. I knew what it was. But you can find these things at yard sales, cheap. You know, these things here, this was, I don't remember, it was 15, 20 bucks, something like that, a good deal. This was $9.95. These are a little more expensive these days. I believe I paid $7.95 at a local surplus store for this, and it came with like 2 packs of heat tabs. This was around $8. This, like I said, cost me a penny and some scraps. This, I don't drink energy drinks no more, but if I see one in the trash, I'll pull it out just to use them for alcohol bottles. This didn't cost me nothing. And if you use a piece of plaster lath or something similar to that, this is aquarium tubing, and I put that on the sharp edges. Of course, you take it off when you're fixing to cook with it, but that'll keep you from tearing up your bag. Speaking of bags, my Glacier stove has this nice flame melt resistant bag that it goes in. It works out really nice. Put it in the bag, then put it up, and everything is good in the hood. For the Coleman, I use this old military tent stake bag, and I gotta let it cool down. Don't forget, if you use a bag like this, let it cool down. I got a whole mess of these, and I use them for a lot of different things. It's real heavy duty nylon, but they work great for multiple things. This particular one, with only one little scorch mark, is where I put this. So, if you're still with me, I appreciate you watching the video all the way through. Don't forget to like, share, comment, tell your friends whatever you do with YouTube videos, and I appreciate you watching. I'll see you on the